So here we are at the first of the 4 lessons in this, what I'm calling the foundation month. And I've numbered this 00 because, well, because I already have an 01 and I'm trying to fit this at the beginning after the fact. And maybe I'm a little crazy about that, but whatever. 00, foundation month. So we talked a little bit about what we're going to do in the introduction, but in this, the first lesson this month, we're going to look a little bit more in depth or and in detail at the part that memory plays in learning, and specifically we're going to look at a pair of opposites. The learning as schools teach us from about second grade all the way through a doctoral degree, the type of learning, which is what? Well, I call it outer layer learning, also impersonal learning. And outer layer learning, you memorize information, mostly words, dates, times, but mostly phrases, but mostly information of that sort. And then the learning, you are considered to have learned it when you recall it on a test. And you can recall it and put it down. So memorized information is considered learning. Or the act of memorizing information is considered the way that you learn. That's the old way. What was it like when we arrived on the planet? Well, that's the other kind of learning, and the kind I'm trying to revive in you, and we'll be trying in the 4 lessons that you'll get this month, including this one. Well, what is that? Well, that kind of learning is inner layer learning, which is personal learning. And what do you do in that? Well, you do what babies did from the moment they arrived on the planet, including you. And in those first years of life, you simply looked at things and you began to construct a visual dictionary of shapes and colors and lines, and you began to see that there are these patterns in the world that you can recognize because of the color, shape, position, etc. So the difference between the two types of learning, and hopefully you're not trying to memorize what I'm saying. Please don't write down what I'm saying. No notes, no writing. Just be annoyed if you want to at me. How do you tell the two types of learning apart? The old type, which I consider an abomination, I believe it kills the love of learning. It is the feeling that you have when you do the assignment for the month that I have asked for, and I have realized that it poisons your ability to watch these talks, because you're watching them with divided attention, trying to memorize things I say. Oh, no. That's not learning. And it's not to say you haven't put a lot of effort into trying to learn. This is on me. I have not done, until this set of 4 lessons, I have not done justice to how you can learn emergence. You cannot learn emergence by memorizing words. So, how can you tell the difference? Outer layer learning, there is no picture in your mind. You can hear words said in your mind, you can read words in your mind, you can say words, but there's no picture. Inner layer learning, personal learning, there is always a picture. And you haven't memorized the picture, it just comes to you. If I was to ask any of you to picture a banana, unless you have an injury about bananas like me, you can see a banana right now. And I am amused right now because I am rediscovering, notice I'm not saying remembering, I'm rediscovering on the fly my experiences with bananas. That sounds crazy, but one of those experiences is that how you eat a banana, like everything in emergence, is a two that are one. And what's the two that are one? Well, it is which end of the banana do you peel first? Now, I had never in my whole life known that people peeled it the opposite way from me. That's like, all right, egocentric, that, whatever, but no biggie. But people peel sometimes from the stem end and sometimes from the other end, the end with no stem. I'm a no stem kind of guy. But as I'm saying this, you are hopefully rediscovering things that you have seen, not memorized, visual things. You're rediscovering them as I talk about bananas and eating bananas. This is the only way to learn emergence, to rediscover the banana. Okay. Of course, what we study is a lot more complicated than eating bananas, and reclaiming this skill that you had. You were born with it. You were amazingly good at it. You must be. Because all human beings, all babies are amazing learners, students, when they're born and through the first few years of their life, because all of the learning is personal. Every single thing is visual. There is no attempt to memorize anything. Recognize shapes, colors, lines, etc. Yeah. But memorize? No. Imagine trying to memorize the taste of an apple. Let's say it is a Fuji apple. I'll bet you if you have eaten Fuji apples, you can bring to mind, right now, you can rediscover the taste on the fly by stepping into a memory. But what is that? You have never memorized it. It is emerged in you. So these visual things emerge in you, as opposed to the words in schools that you use willpower to memorize, to try and force into your mind. And of course, they don't last very long. So recall, memorized information, versus rediscovery of visual things that have emerged in your mind. That's what we will be doing in all 4 lessons, but in this lesson we're going to be doing it with some drawings that I think come from about the mid to late 90s. And the drawings were drawings that I did with an artist. I sat next to him, and he drew as I kind of commented on what he was drawing. And this was a man who was a student at the time of emergence, so he had some sense of what we were doing. But I was trying to get him to draw what my body felt when I was in the presence of each of the 4 character types. Now, the 5-cent word tour, watch your mind go blank now. There are 4 character types, and they are referred to, people are referred to as 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. The numbers represent or refer to the year of life in which that pattern is common. First year of life, 1s. Second year of life, 2s, and so on. Now this is a lot, and if your mind went blank, you're normal. And if you're trying to remember all this, please don't. I don't care if you remember. That may sound crazy. This is not that kind of school. I don't want you to have that terrible kind of suffering while you're in this school. So, we are going to look at the drawings that were made in that era, somewhere in the 90s, that are supposed to evoke the drawing itself. If you just look at the drawing, it's supposed to evoke the feeling that you would have if you are around a baby that age. First year of life, 8 months old, or third year of life, you're 2.5. Like, the drawings themselves. How? Because we are programmed from the moment we're born to connect, to associate shapes, colors, lines, etc., symbols, positions of things in drawings with an experience. They cause an experience. Now, you don't have to believe me right now. What we're going to do in this lesson is I'm going to try and help you to recognize some of that and to begin to reclaim your inherent ability to learn, your ability to learn that you arrived on the planet with, wherein it's all visual and it's all experiential. Your body feels the learning. No memorizing whatsoever. Okay. So, we are going to look at a series of 5 slides. I want you to, when a slide comes up, I want you to pause the video on that slide for as long as you want to try to explore with your eyes what you see. What shapes, what colors. If there are lines, are they straight, curved, what direction? Are there arrows, no arrows? Whatever, I just want you to look at it like you were a baby. Like maybe you're 2.5 years old and somebody is reading to you one of those picture books. No coincidence, picture books. So, now we're going to go now to this first of these slides, and I want you to pause it and try to look at it. No memorizing. Do not do that. Just look at it. See what you can see. And if you don't, okay. But there's one additional thing I want you to do when the slide comes up. There are going to be words on the slide. I want you to try to not read them. I want you to notice inside yourself if there is a feeling of wanting or feeling even compelled to read them. As if you don't read them, you will not understand the slide. Believe me, if you read them, you will understand the slide far less. Reading words makes you understand much less of what's on these slides and things in general. So, no memorizing. Watch how you are drawn if you are to reading the words, and try to focus the best you can on just looking at the picture. The picture of what? Well, the picture of from that 90s era wherein here is a 1. What is it like to be in the presence of a 1? So, do your best to look at it, notice whatever you see only in the drawing. And pause on this slide, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I don't know how that went. Hopefully you noticed any urges to read the words. Hopefully you managed to fight it off best you can. Yes, that's a little willpower, but the other side is that this is an enormously difficult thing to undo, this pressure to memorize words so that you can recall them and pass a test. There are no tests here. There are only questions which ask if you have an experience. If you don't, you don't. If you do, you do. And emergence is a collection of experiences which, if there are enough of these experiences, you begin to find patterns in everything that we do. And those patterns help you to understand experiences that come after all this learning. Experiences like sitting with another person and they tell you something that they've done or suffered with that you haven't done or suffered from. And yet, if you have enough of these visual pictures in your mind, you'll be able to connect to them. You'll see similar things in your own life, and you'll be able to help. So, the second drawing. Now I want you to notice that something will have changed. I'm letting you know ahead of time that the biggest thing that will change is not the instructions. Again, just notice your urges to read words, and please do your best to not read the words. But now there are going to be two drawings, a baby 1 and a baby 2. And now the contrast and compare is what is important for you to add. Look at the two drawings, try to see what's the same, and try to see what's different. What's changed? More than that, try to use your body to sense. Do you feel a difference between the baby in the first drawing and the baby in the second? Because this is the most important thing of all. Your body's reaction to seeing the two drawings. So, pause this second drawing and try to see these visual differences, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, hopefully you're beginning to get this. You're beginning to see literally like a baby through the eyes that you had when you were born, and sensing from a drawing an experience. But we have a ways to go, I'm sure, and if this is still hard for you, don't worry. I'll help, and I know that you can get this if you continue. I know you can. So, now the third drawing of the 5 in this series, in this lesson, is going to come up. And in this drawing, we're again going to see a pair of baby drawings. But in this slide, you're going to see a baby 2 next to a baby 3. Again, I would ask you to notice any kind of urges to look at the words. Please let them go. You can come back to these if you want, but let them go. Act as if you are a young baby who cannot read yet, because that's the kind of learning that's true learning. You're not reading, you're looking at pictures, and you're reacting to those pictures with your body. You're learning to see colors, changes in shapes, lines, positions. That's all. Just like a baby. And you're not even supposed to take that list I just said and do that. Just look and try and see what's the same and what's the difference in these two babies. Stop the slide, give yourself whatever time you need, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay. Hopefully that was a little bit easier. Alrighty, now we're going to do the fourth set, and you already know, I've been giving this to you, and you're probably tired of hearing it. Try your best to not look at the words. Try your best to compare the two drawings and see if you can see what's the same and what's different. In this slide, there'll be a baby 3 and a baby 4. Try to sense if you can see what is different, not just in the drawing, but in your body. Try to let your body feel the drawings. Do your best. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so now we are going to change this up a bit once more, one final time, and we're going to look at the 5th slide. But in this slide, you are going to see all 4 babies, all 4 character type babies. And I want you to, again, do your best to focus on the babies and really do your best to sense each baby. Move from baby to baby. Pause the slide, of course. Move from baby to baby and try to sense what's different in your body when you sense each of these babies. Is there a difference? Look a few times. If there's not, there's not. If there is, there is. Realize you can always come back to this talk, and you can always come back to this slide. It's not going to be gone. Don't worry about that. It's not there. No memorizing. There's not going to be a test. And for goodness sake, please just let whatever words are there go. Just let them go. So pause the slide, take whatever time you need, and I'll be back in a minute. So here we are at the end of this first of the 4 lessons this month, the foundation month, and hopefully you've begun to hear and see more similarly to what it was like for you when you were born and in the first few years of life. In order to learn emergence, you have to treat all of these things like picture books. And you have to treat them like, even if there are words in the picture books, you don't know them. Somebody has to say them to you. The words are not what's important. You are drawn to the picture. Well, this is something you have to reclaim. And then the pictures, differences between pictures, help you to understand the patterns in human nature. Character type is one of the 5 measurable patterns in human nature, in our core personality. It's the second most important, but it's important. And being able to sense it in a drawing then gives you the ability to contrast and compare that drawing with people who are like those people. So, the drawing of a 2. Now picture somebody who's a 2 in your life. And look at the baby, and in your mind look at the person, the 2. Then do it a few more times. Other 2s. And what happens is you begin to build this visual dictionary. This is the way you learn emergence. This is personal learning. It's visual learning. It's inner layer learning. Boy, that's a lot of labels. Let them go. But this is not something you're going to get tested on. It's something to awaken an interest in you about these things so that you can then better offer them to others, and by doing that, change a life. And remember, one of those lives that you're looking to change is yours, so please don't leave yourself out. I'll see you in the next talk.